reputation in the neighborhood, I was a scapegoat. Nobody would think that I wasn't the ringleader in this situation because of my reputation. So it was so easy to pin it on me. When Timmy Patrick went to DeMarcus and them that day, they said he threatened them, and this was their first cousin. And who got the best deal? DeMarcus and Rico. So I really don't know, Lana. I really haven't thought into it as much as you are.
Yeah.
From Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution. Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
He was Brandon's football coach, so they had a relationship. Me and Timmy Patrick never had a relationship. Even after that shootout.
And this is all because of that Ross?
No, I think it was more so about my mother more than anything. That whole situation with Jamie Brown and all that. And my mom never let Timmy off the hook. I think they threw that out there just to say that they tried to give me a deal, but they know me. This wasn't my first rodeo. They knew I wasn't gonna tell on nobody. They knew that wasn't even an option. It didn't matter what type of plea deal they tried to give me. They knew that wasn't an option. Shit, I could have told on my co-defendant and got a deal, but that wasn't an option.
I got you. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, your only option was that they wanted to know something about another case that had nothing to do with your case.
Right.
And did you tell Benyo that you wanted to take the stand when you testified, or was it like, did he ask you? How did that go?
I told Benyo I wanted to take the stand.
How did he feel about that? Was he like, or was he like, yeah, no, I think you're going to have to tell your story because did he feel...
No, that was the thing. You got to tell your story.
Exactly. I knew that he was going to use those words. You have to tell your story because... Okay.
I was okay with that. At the end of the day, I knew that what I was saying on that stand was the absolute truth. The DA tried to trick me up and everything, and it wasn't working. She came to Benyo afterwards and said, yeah, your client did good, but I still don't believe him.
Sunset Secrets Season 4, coming 2023. How are we doing, guys? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. This is episode 1, the Dayvon Cox Untold Story. His voice, the truth. Again, welcome to Truth and Transparency. A live like none other that I've done. This is from behind prison walls. So, thank you guys for being here to speak kind and chat. And it is a podcast style, but on the screen you are going to be able to see all the locations when I'm talking about them with Devon. So you're going to be able to see the locations, how far certain points are, things like that. But in episode 1 here, we just basically recap the events that took place on November 15th, 2005. Devon is in prison right now, serving a 26 to 54 year sentence. He didn't kill anybody. He wasn't convicted of rape. And you have to ask yourself, how is this possible when you're getting murders that are getting less than this? Let's take a look. How I came across Devon is through his mom with my work in Aliquippa. And when I saw her name, I was like, I know that name. And then I looked at some of my files and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the woman that recanted her statement against Jamie Brown. She had testified against him in 2001, and Jamie Brown was the gentleman. He actually is still serving time for the murder of Officer Nime. But Rada Lee, that's your mom, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I came across her name doing stuff for Jamie Brown's case. When she had mentioned you, I was like, I know that name. And then I looked at my files and I was like, oh my goodness. Because I've been saying since day one, everything with Aliquippa, it is, people out there can think that, no, none of this stuff has anything to do with the other case, or like these cases aren't related. People have always said that to me, and I just keep looking at stuff and I'm like, yeah, actually they are, because the same names keep popping up in terms of law enforcement. The last names, mother son combos, son father, stuff like that. So when I had spoke with your mom, she's like, tell me, about you, and I was hesitant to do it only because at the beginning I was like, I don't really want to take on a rape case. But I said to myself, well, I know how Aliquippa is. I know how Beaver County is. So
Right.
I need to take this on. I just want to look at it to get to the point of, okay, either he's guilty or he's innocent, and based off of what I feel
Pennsylvania
like.
State Correctional Institution. Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
But when I had heard who you were and your relationship, like, who your mom was and everything, and I was like, see, right there, I've been saying all these cases are related because of, the higher ups, the law enforcement, the judges, and how I want the audience here to know about how all this comes together is, I go to Aliquippa to do work on the Rachel Altondo case, Sheldon Jeter Jr., then, I get hit with Jamie Brown, Gilliam, and that's actually where I think I want to start with you, is Brandon Rivas.
Yes, that was my friend.
Okay, so you guys, grew up together like brothers?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, from childhood up.
Okay. And I know you said, your grandma raised you, helped raise you.
No, my grandmother raised me since I was 5.
Since you're 5, okay. And that's because, it was, it's not a big secret. Your mom was in and out of, her own struggles with the law.
Right.
So was she out, when you were, obviously she birthed you, so she was out until you were 5, and then she was incarcerated?
She got incarcerated when I was 7 years old.
When you were 7?
And then she did 7 years, so when I turned 14, she came home.
Okay. And then, so you'd have been in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Did you play any sports in high school?
I played football.
How big are you? You're pretty tall now.
5'11".
Okay, well, I'm 5'3", so there you go. But guess what? I could shoot the ball. So I got a scholarship because of my mad ball handling skills and my 3-point shot. So
I could have made it. I really could have did something in football. I was good in football. Had I pursued it, it was something that I feel like I could have been successful in.
Well, Aliquippa just basically breeds the athletes over there.
Right.
Yeah. So did you play on any of those championship teams?
No, I played all the way up until high school, and I ain't playing high school.
Okay. Would you, if you feel comfortable talking about it, in high school, what was your average day like? What'd you do?
The average thing that teenagers do at that time, hang with friends, chase girls.
Now, so, your mom just gets out, you're 14. Did you live with your grandma still when, she came home?
Yeah, I remained with my grandmother the whole time.
Okay. Did she live with you guys, or?
On and off.
Okay. Now, again, you don't have to answer this if you don't feel comfortable answering it. Did you have any resentment, were you mad? Were you mad at your mom that she wasn't there? How did you feel about that?
I love my mom.
Yeah.
I pretty much worship the ground she walked on, so.
You thought she was a badass, probably.
Yeah, regardless of her struggles, her addiction, I went through all that with her.
Okay.
I was her support system, and
Well, I know that your mom loves you like crazy. I mean, trust me, she blows me up. I love her too. She's
yeah. Regardless of my grandmother raising me, me and my mother's relationship still was strong. I just had to take on a role as the adult in our relationship because my mom was going through some struggles in her life. But I love my mother dearly. I remember going to get her out of drug houses at 6, 7 years old, missing school.
Really?
Even though my family didn't want me to. But I felt like I was all she had, so I had to protect her. I had to go and make sure that she was safe. I had to bring her home. So me and my mother's relationship was good. I love my mother. I just understood her struggle.
And how's she doing now?
She's doing great now. This is probably about my 38 years on this earth. This is probably the best she's ever done, to be honest.
Yeah, she has a strong faith too. I mean, at least that's what I see, from my short time of knowing her.
Yeah, she's doing great. She's sober. She's driven. She got her stuff together, and I think this time around she's really trying to do right and do the best that she can. So
okay,
we support each other through that.
So when you were, that's awesome, by the way. And I give you a lot of credit. I mean, 6, 7 years old to, be going in and out of drug houses. And, like you said, I thought, like, you feel like you grew up like really fast. Like, you're like 14, but you felt like you were like 20.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. And, when you were like, in high school, did you have issues with any substance abuse, or were you, what was that like for you?
I tried to shy away from drugs. I drank with my friends and smoked.
Smoke like weed?
Like a mouse and stuff like that. But no, using drugs was really like taboo for us because all my friends, we experienced our parents dealing with substance abuse, so it was something that we never really got involved with.
That makes sense. I mean, it's kind of like, well, on a way smaller scale, but my dad was a huge like cigarette smoker, and I was like, oh my God, like I hated that. And so to this day, I've never even smoked a cigarette in my life. But it's like, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying about that. So you basically got to live in, you're like, you saw firsthand what it does to people, what it does to, someone's life. That's really, I mean, that's how I think I am. I know other people, everyone's different. They all, they deal with stuff differently. But so we get to the fact, like, did you have any troubles with the law?
You have 1 minute left.
In high school, did you feel that you got labeled because of your mom? They were like, oh, this is, Rihanna's son, or?
No. Not really.
Okay.
I don't think it was something that placed a cloud over me or nothing like that. I think sports was more so my outlet, so
okay.
They introduced me to a different world than I was accustomed to.
Okay.
My grandmother was like the greatest woman on earth, so I didn't miss out on nothing.
That's good. I mean, to hear that, that's awesome. So I guess I know that this is going to hang up, and then are you able to call back?
Yeah, I'm going to call right back.
Okay, cool. Do you want to do that now, or just let it rate?
The caller has hung up.
I just didn't want to cut us off, but
Yeah, you gonna call right back.
hey, everybody, this is actually the woman of the household here. If you want to say hi, you can.
Hello.
It's up to you.
Yes.
So this is Lindsay. So
Hello.
Lindsay's a big support system. Also, like I said, this is the woman. This is Dayvon's soulmate, love, all those good things, rock support system. You've been, how long have you guys been together?
We've been in a little over a year now, but we've been friends for 20 years. Hold on one second. Here you go.
Okay. So friends for 20 years, together for a year. That's why I say soulmate. It was bound to happen. All right, so she's clicking over to bring Dayvon back on. Again, truth and transparency. Appreciate you guys here. Fight for a family. This is what it's all about. Hey, yep, we're here. Okay. All right, perfect. Yep, Dayvon's back. So you're at Green, is that right? No?
Yeah, I'm at Green.
Okay, Green. Okay, as I was saying, so basically in high school, did you have any issues with like the law? When did you have any issues, period, with the law until this incident?
No, I think the only thing I had with the law was unauthorized use of a vehicle. My mom got me a rental car from Enterprise for the prom, and Enterprise is viewing on the contract, and you're unauthorized user of the vehicle.
Yeah, you are.
And they sent me away for that.
They did not.
Yeah, they sent me to placement for that.
Like juvenile, like juvie.
Yeah. Yep.
It's for prom. What kind of card you take your prom date in?
I don't even remember. But it wasn't worth a year that I did in placement.
You did a year for being on a rental, or basically it wasn't your rental. Did you get pulled over where you weren't drinking and driving, nothing like that?
No, I wasn't drinking and driving and nothing like that. I just got pulled over.
Did you have your license?
No.
Oh, that's why. So you didn't have a license.
Right. Officer Lewis knew me, and he pulled me over, and that's what they got me for unauthorized use of a vehicle.
Were you in your prom outfit?
No, it was the day after the prom.
Okay. But the reason you had the vehicle was for prom.
Right, and my mom testified that was the reason, and that it was her rental car, and they didn't care to hear about it.
So and then let's see here, because you said you're 38.
Yeah.
Okay. Then so you were living in Aliquippa your whole life, up and until when did you ever move from Aliquippa?
I lived in Florida for a year.
Okay. So when did you graduate high school? Like what year was that? Or did you? I don't even know. Did you graduate?
I didn't. I got my GED.
Okay. So what year would that have been?
Probably like 2009.
Okay, so 2009. So you got that while you were in prison?
Yeah.
Okay. So what year would you have graduated, though? For the years, I mean, they at least still had them.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, I was still fighting my appeal, though. Because I was pro se, so I needed everything. And they sent me away for that.
They did not.
Yeah, they sent me to placement for that.
Like juvenile? Like juvie?
Yeah. Yep.
It's for prom, what kind of card you take your prom date in?
I don't even remember. But it wasn't worth a year that I did in placement.
You did a year for being on a rental, or basically it wasn't your rent. Did you get pulled over where you weren't drinking and driving, nothing like that?
No, I wasn't drinking and driving and nothing like that. I just got pulled over.
Did you have your license?
No.
Oh, that's why. So you didn't have a license.
Right. Officer Lewis knew me, and he pulled me over, and that's what they got me for unauthorized use of a vehicle.
Were you in your prom outfit?
No, it was the day after the prom.
Okay. But the reason you had the vehicle was for prom.
Right, and my mom testified that was the reason, and that it was her rental car, and they didn't care to hear about it.
So and then let's see here, because you said you're what, 38?
Yes.
Okay. Then so you were living in Aliquippa your whole life, up and until when did you ever move from Aliquippa?
I lived in Florida for a year.
Okay. So when did you graduate high school? What year was that? Or did you? I don't even know. Did you graduate?
I didn't. I got my GED.
Okay. So what year would that have been?
Probably 2009.
Okay, so 2009. So you got that while you were in prison?
Yeah.
Okay. So what year would you have graduated, though? You would have graduated what, 03?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so this incident happens in 2005, in November 16, 2005, in Aliquippa, or that area, Beaver County. But you weren't living there at the time, right?
No.
Okay. And why'd you come home to visit, that weekend or November 12th?
I came up because the mother of my two daughters, she was pregnant at the time with my youngest daughter.
Okay.
So I came up here for that, to see my daughter and son, and to see her.
Okay. This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Okay, so you're in town. Were you staying at your grandma's?
Yes.
Okay. So Dayvon's in town. He's staying at his grandma's. He comes in to see basically his, family. Did you end up going to a funeral when you were in town?
Yeah, I went to a guy's funeral that I knew.
Okay.
Got killed.
Okay. So I've been looking, there's over 2,000 pages of transcripts. And then obviously all motions and discovery before the transcripts of your court, hearing and all that, and then your trial. So I think I got your stuff. When was that, Lindsay, that we met? When I got everything, it was in garbage bags. So it was when? Do you remember? When was that? Was that in September?
Yeah.
And now it's in binders, guys. Okay. Garbage bags to binders. It's a beautiful thing.
Okay, so I get all of his stuff, September 2022, just, a couple months ago. And when I had to go get to the back of the car, I was like, okay, yeah, you guys have everything. He's like, oh, yeah, here it is. They open up the trunk. There's literally, what was it? 2 or 3 huge white garbage bags.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Yeah, I got a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, I was like, holy, but that's a good thing, though.
I sent them home in boxes.
Yeah,
I actually sent them home in boxes, though.
You did? Okay. So it's been so long, over the years. I mean, they at least still had them.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I was still fighting my appeal, though. Because I was pro se, so I needed everything.
And now, do they let you keep all that? You can keep that in your cell?
Yeah.
So do you have, a huge file?
I got a Foot Locker full of legal work. I still got legal work here.
Okay. Well, let's get into this case here. So, I think the best way, I want to talk about your preliminary hearing. But basically, I took the time to go through this stuff. But before that, I got to talk to you about stuff, and you're like, hey, this is what happened, but these people are lying. You know what I mean? Like, that didn't happen that way, and Lana, I'm not perfect, and I will own anything that I did. You know what I'm saying? But there's also...
That was the whole purpose of it. I just wanted to... I wanted to get the truth out there. I wanted to get my side of the story out there. Nobody ever heard it. I never really spoke about it unless it was to the court.
Yeah.
I just felt like the narrative that was around it was untrue.
Yeah. And so when I was going through this, I believe, just so everybody knows this, I believe, I believe you, when we talk, and you've been nothing but, like, there's not ever a time where I'm like, caught him, like, trying to lie or being anything. I mean, I can literally read these transcripts, read the police reports, put together all of the paperwork of the discovery in an order that's like, okay, this is how it should have happened. Okay, why wasn't this person, even brought in as a witness to be questioned?
Right.
So when I was going through all of this, I know more recently I've been saying things like, hey, I think we need to talk about a couple things, because I think this whole setup, because you were set up, but you believe the setup happened, it wasn't a planned setup, more like with law enforcement until after the fact, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's always been your thing, is that this became a setup to get me, after the fact, when they already had like a little bit of a story, and then they can kind of just like mess with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, because it would have been hard to, because I really wasn't even go up to Reba's house that night. I was watching the movie with my grandmother, and I was leaving to go back to Atlanta the next day. So my intention was never to really go up there. It was just a spur of the moment type thing. So it would have been hard for them to do that.
Yeah, but you had went to a funeral that day, no?
Yeah.
So were other people there? So people would have seen you at that funeral?
Right.
Okay, so people would have known that you were in town if they seen you at that funeral, or if somebody told them, like, oh my gosh, guess who I ran into that was home? So-and-so.
Right.
Okay, but I'm just making sure that funeral was it on the 16th or was it on the 15th?
I want to say, I think it was the 15th.
Okay, it was like the day before, right?
Yeah.
Okay. To me, this was really important. I was trying to figure out who knew Dayvon was in town. When did they find this out? Because obviously Dayvon was set up after the fact. There were mounds of perjury. The story is that you will hear that was testified to by other people. You will see the lies from their statements, but also when you compare it to the police reports. But I went deeper because it didn't make sense to me why a guy would bring two females to a drug deal. And you would say to yourself, oh, I brought them for comfort and for safety reasons. Who brings two girls for safety reasons? To think that what you think these girls are going to protect you? No. So when in my findings and in my digging, I need Dayvon to start thinking in terms of could you have been set up prior to even when you're thinking it was a setup. Or it was like earlier in that day?
Yeah, it was earlier in the day.
Okay, yeah. So it was on the 15th. And see, the reason that this is important is because we've gone back and forth with, well, nobody knew I was there. Like, nobody knew I was in town, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, are you sure about that? Because you're thinking to yourself, yeah, I didn't tell anybody, but I'm like, okay, well, who would have seen you? And I think that people saw you because when I went through the files, Timmy Patrick writes in there that the clothes that he picked you up in on that day that, they picked you up in, he's referencing in his report that those are the clothes that you wore at the funeral that you went to.
Yeah, I think he came up with that because of the T-shirt that I had on, it was a shirt with the guy's face on there.
Okay. So
And a lot of us wore shirts like that.
Okay.
There were a lot of people that went to the funeral.
Okay, so let's back up here. The incident. You were basically summoned by Brandon Rivas. That night he drives over to your house or your grandma's and says, "Hey, do you want to ride with me to I'm going to go buy some weed off these kids I know?"
No, I had went up to his house. It was his birthday, so I went up to his house to see him for a hot second, and we were sitting on his porch, and DeMarcus Walker and Jackson came up and pulled up, and he went to the car to talk to them.
Okay, so and then who is DeMarcus Walker and who else? Enrico Jackson. So they drive up, and then who are those people? Are they related to me, Patrick?
Yeah, those is his first cousins.
Okay, so and Timmy Patrick is one of the detectives in Beaver County.
Right.
He has been, just so everybody knows that, he's been involved with a lot of cases in Aliquippa and in Beaver County. And he didn't really like your mom, right?
Or me.
Or you? Okay. So, Brandon Rivas, now, he comes back over to you on the porch and says, "Hey, do you want to I'm going to go ride with them," or?
He said, "I need you to ride with me because I don't really trust them. And go pick up this weed."
And
I was hesitant, and I don't know. He, this was my friend, so I didn't want him to go into a situation where he was uncomfortable, and so I rode with him.
so those two guys were in the front seat, you're in the back seat, and you guys go to, were they using their cell phones when they were in the car? Like, calling anybody?
I called Brandon Morgan.
Okay.
To see where he was and where to meet up at.
Okay, so there are going to be two Brandons in the story. Brandon Morgan is a white guy. He was the manager of Finish Line at the time. White guy, manager of Finish Line. Then there's Brandon Rivas. He is actually on the run right now for the murder of Savante Gilliam. Beaver County has made no mention of this man since the first time that they ever said, okay, well, we believe the suspect is Brandon Rivas, and he's wanted for murder, and we can't find him. That was back a year ago, almost. So there's two Brandons in the story. Brandon Rivas, who is Dayvon's longtime childhood friend. And then there's Brandon Morgan, who is the gentleman that they're going to meet up with to buy 3 pounds of marijuana.
So who made the call to Brandon Morgan?
DeMarcus Walker.
Okay, so DeMarcus Walker, in your presence, calls this Brandon Morgan kid to ask where to meet up at?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you get arrested and everything like that, and you have like your...
I'm going to show you guys here where they met up. It was the AutoZone in Rochester, which is right across the bridge. And what I've done is I put things on the map so you can kind of see where we're dealing with, where all this is taking place. Let me share this other screen for you. There you go. So what you're looking at here is the main road. There's the Long John Silver's. Right there is the AutoZone, and this is considered Rochester, PA. And if you look over here, you see that bridge over there to your left? That's the bridge that you would take over to get to Aliquippa. It's right there on the other side, okay? And they were to meet up in this parking lot right here. This is where they met, okay?
your lawyer, how often would your lawyer meet with you to like sit down and like go over all this stuff?
At the time I had Ms. Shaheen for my preliminary hearing, and I would say I met Mitch about 2 or 3 times before the preliminary hearing.
What?
That's it, just 2 or 3 times?
Yeah.
And you took the stand at the preliminary hearing?
No.
No, you didn't. Okay. So what I have in front of me is I have Brandon Morgan's statements at the preliminary hearing in front of me. And first of all, this is just the most... He impeaches himself left and right. First of all, he can't ID you. He IDs, Rivas as the, this Marquay guy. We're going to get into all that. But what I have in front of me right now, though, is the preliminary transcripts of when Brandon Morgan takes the stand. Okay. So, I think the best way for the audience to understand what
You have 1 minute left.
what transpired is for you to just walk us through everything that happened in your eyes, like what happened that day, what happened that night. You get in a car and then just tell us what happened, and then I think then it's best that I tell then the story of, now this is what they said happened and why you are actually serving a sentence that is, you didn't kill anybody, you didn't rape anybody. How did you end up with 24 to 56 years? And how can we bring you home and help with that and get the nation really to rally around, like, this is wrong, and what can we do about it? Is there something that crowdsourcing can do? Is there a way that
Thank you for using
we can help
Securus.
you?
Goodbye. The caller has hung up. Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye. Hold on, we need to call right there.
Yeah. So how just to hear that all the time, just to get 10 minutes, then they hang up, or 10 or 15, just depends.
15 minutes.
Yeah. Girl.
Yep, 3 15-minute phone calls a day.
3, 15, that's it?
Yep.
So we only have 15 more minutes?
We might have a couple more. Hold on.
Come on, man. Oh, good. I said that at 8. I thought I had that said at 6. Thank God. I was like, Jesus. No, I never did.
Hello?
Okay. All right. So we'll jump right into it. You tell us the story.
Like I said, I went up to Reeves' house, and I believe that DeMarcus Walker came up there to speak to him. I guess they had somebody there with him that would be able to handle itself in case something went wrong. So I think that was his purpose for going to get asking Reeves to go with him.
Okay, well, check this out. So there was nobody by the name of Rashad Brown that was in that car.
Rashad, no, he wasn't in the car, but he was the one that set it up between DeMarcus Walker and Brandon Morgan.
Okay.
He was the bridge between those two.
He was the bridge between those two, right?
Right.
And who is Rashad Brown?
A guy from the neighborhood.
And did he ever testify at your trial?
No.
So you got Brandon Morgan, who's the manager at Foot Locker. He's the manager at Foot Locker. He's got an employee by the name of Rashad Brown, and Brandon Morgan says, an employee of mine named Rashad Brown had introduced me to him, as his cousin. And Brandon Morgan's basically saying he met this guy named Marquay. and Rashad Brown introduced me to Marquay, this guy, and they're trying to say that you are Marquay.
Yeah.
Basically, right?
This had been going on. Yeah, but this had been going on for months. So I wasn't even here at the time that they was negotiating this deal. Like, so the introduction was with DeMarcus Walker. I didn't deal with Rashad Brown. I know him from the neighborhood, but me and him never had no association with each other.
Exactly, and I have these phone records here in my hand that show that there's no calls between you and Brandon Morgan ever, but there are calls between Brandon Morgan and DeMarcus Walker.
Right.
And so you don't even, but I guess what my thing is, you know, my hang up here is, did you know at the preliminary hearing, they made it seem like that they had talked that morning and that there wasn't anything that, you know, kind of transpired prior to. It was all like that's kind of like the way the state was trying to keep that out of it. Did you know that?
Yeah, so I wasn't privy to none of the information that, like, the conversation between DeMarcus Walker and Brandon Morgan and Rashad Brown. I literally came in.
Like, you didn't know anything about this.
No, I knew nothing about this until that night.
Like, you just hop in the car, okay, we're driving, and then you go to AutoZone in Rochester.
Right.
Like about 10 minutes away.
Right.
And do they drop you off and you get out of the vehicle and do you stand there and wait?
No, the truck pulled up right beside Walker's car, and we got out of the car and got in the truck with them.
Okay, so check this out.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Brandon Morgan says in his testimony here during the prelim is that when he had pulled up to AutoZone, that you and Brandon Rivas, aka Antoine, were standing there by yourselves.
No.
And I know that's like, do you see how much they had to tweak this? And that's why I believe that this was a setup from jump. Because why couldn't they be involving DeMarcus Walker and the other guy? Like, why would it have to be such a lie that we can't even say that those two other people were there?
I mean, Timmy Patrick is their first cousin. Like, those the first two people that he went to see. Those first two people that he got statements from. Mm-hmm. And he went based off of what they told him.
Okay. And so when you see this Brandon Morgan guy, that's the first time that you saw him ever in your life. He's a white guy right there.
Yep, before.
And you and Rivas get into this guy Brandon Morgan's vehicle, which is an Explorer, and there's two girls in that vehicle with him.
Right.
And did you know that at the preliminary hearing, he testified and said the reason he brought those two women was because for comfort reasons and for like safety. That's what, quote unquote.
Yeah, I think they was brought there to like.
Well, then when he was cross-examined and asked, "Oh, you brought them there for this?" He's like, "No, they wanted to come along, so I let them." So he like basically impeaches himself within a 10-minute period.
Yeah.
But like, no big deal. I mean, they just, wow. So you get in this vehicle, and it's because you guys are going to buy 3 pounds of marijuana from.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
It's from this white kid, Brandon Morgan, whoever he knows, named Nate. And then there becomes.
Yeah, that's what he said he was going to get it from.
And before they did any of this, you were hungry, is what it says right here. I had to stop at Sheetz because Marquay was hungry and wanted food.
Right.
So, and let's be honest, guys, if you go to Sheetz, there's going to be tons of cameras. So if you're about to go do some crazy stuff, you're going to go put yourself on cameras. Like,
So I just didn't think nothing. It really wasn't that serious of a situation for me at that time.
did you just really say to the guy, like, hey, bro, can you stop over here at the sheets? I'm hungry. I'm just curious. And
We went to the apartment complex first, and I guess he told us that dude wasn't there yet. So
so you went to the apartment complex first.
yeah.
Oh, see, that's not how he testifies. He testifies that on the way, you said that you were hungry and that they stop at Sheets. You go and come out with nachos, and then you get back in the car, and then you continue on to, this place, which is Paluski Homes. Was it like,
We went there first.
Okay.
And then he said dude wasn't there or he wasn't ready. So I'm like, well, let's go back to the sheets. I'm hungry.
Oh, okay. So again, that's just like not what's happening. So therefore, they're changing the story. So then you guys go back now in his preliminary hearing, in his testimony. He also says that basically he only was expecting one person, and then there was two. So just so you know that he said that. Then he brings.
Yeah, I knew he said that, but I didn't know what the deal was as far as how many people he was supposed to meet or nothing. I wasn't a part of that conversation.
Okay. So then you get back to this house. Does he get out? He says he gets out of the vehicle and goes and tries to knock on a door.
Yeah.
And then nobody.
Well, no. When we go back up there the second time, he get out the car and say he gonna go back there and see he gonna go to the apartment and see if he's ready. As he's walking back there, there's two white guys. It's dark in the back, in the back of the apartment complex where he was going. So when he as he's going back there, it's two white guys in the bushes.
And you saw them.
Yeah, I saw them.
And were you like, why are these two guys in the bushes?
I said something to Brandon and Jamie said, and then Jamie said, they're gonna try to rob y'all.
Okay, so right there, you notice that there's two white guys in the bushes because you're in the vehicle with Brandon Rivas. It's you, Brandon Rivas, and there's the two girls that are in the vehicle. So this guy, Brandon Morgan, leaves two girls with you guys.
Right.
Okay. And then these two girls, one of them is named Misty and the other one is named Jamie. Jamie says to you, hey, they're about to rob you guys. Is that right?
Yeah.
And did she say, why would she tell you guys this?
I don't know. Her and Brandon have been talking. Her and Brandon Rivas have been talking, like flirting and all that. But
so she's flirting with Brandon Rivas in the car?
Yeah.
Wait.
He's sitting behind her. He's sitting in the middle, and Misty is sitting on the behind the driver's seat.
Where were you sitting?
I was sitting behind her.
So
She was turned around and talking to him.
Okay, so Brandon Morgan's driving. Jamie's up in the passenger seat?
No, this is when he left the car.
Oh, so when he left the car, you guys moved around?
When he left the car, we was all talking.
Okay, so but in the car, okay. And I'm just trying to make sure, like, where was everybody seated? Like,
She was sitting in the passenger seat. I was sitting behind her.
Okay.
Rivas was sitting in the middle, and Misty was sitting behind the driver's seat.
okay, perfect. And so she tells you, they're about to rob you, but when you guys were in the car without Brandon Morgan, Jamie was flirting with Brandon Rivas?
Yeah.
But Brandon Morgan was her boyfriend.
Yeah, I guess.
Did you even know that?
No.
So you're in the vehicle and because you don't even know these people. The only person you know is Brandon. And so you're sitting there,
I know Rivas.
and mind you, because this matters, you got two white girls, two black guys are in the car, and then this guy who's white, Brandon Morgan, gets out, leaving, two girls that are his friend and girlfriend with two black males that he does not know from Adam, right?
Right.
Okay. And then they tell you this, and then what do you do?
and Brandon get out the car and go around to the back, and we talked about it. And when Brandon Morgan came back, we just grabbed him. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like, what are you about to do? What are you trying to get us? Like, what are you doing? What did you say? Your girl just told us? Like, because that's what I would have been like. Your girl just told us. You didn't?
No.
Oh, hot damn! Why didn't you?
I was more focused on the two dudes in the bushes.
So your thought wasn't to say, "Yo, your girl just told us that you're planning on robbing us." You didn't. I mean.
I didn't tell him. I didn't say that to him until after we got back in the car. After we went to the apartment that he said he went to.
Okay, so then when he gets back and you guys grab him, you're like, "What are you doing? What's going on here?" Then what happens?
And he took us back to I told him to take us to the apartment that he was just at. And me, him, and Revis walked back there, and the two white guys in the bushes ran. And
did you have a gun out or anything?
No.
Did you even have a gun on you?
No.
No, because you came from Atlanta, okay?
Yeah.
And so you didn't travel with a gun. So did you even own a gun at that time?
No. Didn't own a gun, didn't have a gun.
And they never found a gun?
Never found a gun.
Okay.
Never tested me for a gun, nothing.
Okay. And so then you guys started banging on doors back there to just find out, like, I mean...
No, he just went to a door that he said he just came out of. It was dark in the house. He knocked on the door, and two older people came to the door and said they was going to call the police if we didn't get away from them. So we ran. We all ran back to the
Do
truck.
you want to know what he testified to? He testified saying that when you guys went back there, that you guys banged on 3 different doors, like knocking on all these doors.
No, it was only one door. It was the door that he said he had just came out of. There was no need to bang on 3 doors.
You have 1 minute left.
He said,
Go ahead, hon.
so
So okay, so then you guys just get out of there.
yeah.
Okay, and then so you get in your car, or you get in Brandon Morgan's car, so you're all in there in that vehicle, and you guys pull away.
Yeah, we pulled away.
Okay, does everybody have cell phones? Like, I mean, were the girls screaming and crying? Was like, I mean,
No.
so you
They
get
just sat there.
they just sat there.
Yeah.
Was
And Misty kept playing a game on her phone.
Misty was playing a game on her phone, smoking cigarettes?
Yeah.
Okay. So she had her phone. Like, she could have called 911.
Yeah.
Did she?
No.
She's just chilling.
Yeah, pretty much.
Were the girls like, what the hell's going on?
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
It's on our car again.
Okay. I gotta figure out what the day was.
This is where it gets wild, guys. This is where it goes, 180 like you wouldn't believe. Because I'm a logic person, clearly. But what transpires when you would think when they would leave there, okay, take us back to AutoZone. Because our 2 friends are there in a vehicle waiting for us, right? That would be what would happen, right? Listen to this.
This, like, preliminary hearing because... But no, I'm not saying, like, wait till you... Because me and Bella are about to do we're going to do the transcripts for him, for the stuff that they were saying. All these people that were taking the stand, they were just being impeached left and right, like their own up, and then say something else that... I can't even believe that... I needed to ask him if... Yeah. Okay, sweet. Okay, so you guys get in this vehicle, were you like, did you have a cell phone? Did you call the people like the DeMarcus, Walker, I mean, you guys don't...
Me, Brandon, Revis, and Brandon Morgan, we was arguing.
You guys were
And
arguing.
I'm like, you took me back to the rock. to rob us. I'm like, your girl told me that y'all was trying to rob us. And he said, no, that ain't true.
Did he get mad at her to say, what are you talking about? Why would you say that to him?
No.
What, did she just sat there like...
Yeah, she just sat there. She was caught. She told us what was happening.
Okay, so then you're in a vehicle, you don't know this guy. Were you like, you need to take us back to AutoZone so we're getting the hell out of here? Or like, how, you get what I'm trying to say? Like, okay, like you're...
Yeah, so now at this point, I'm ready to go back to getting, to DeMarcus Walker and them. So I'm like, well, take us back to the AutoZone. And he got like, he didn't want to take us back to the AutoZone. So now I punch him and tell him, take us back. Like, and he pulled over, in like this, it was like an auto repair thing on the side of the road.
Okay.
And me and him got into it. I pushed his head against the window, it broke, and like, take us back. Like, you got to take us back. So Brandon Rivas called DeMarcus and them. They didn't answer the phone. So we drove back down to AutoZone. He wasn't there. They wasn't there no more. So I'm like, take us to Albuquerque.
So you guys, you eventually get to AutoZone, and when you get there, DeMarcus Walker is not there. The guy the guy that drove you there, right?
Right, he's not there no more.
Okay, and obviously neither is the other guy. Because what was his name? Okay.
Rico Jackson.
So nobody, you weren't like, Rivas, call your boy DeMarcus. We're like,
yeah, he kept calling them to see what, especially once we got to the AutoZone and seeing they wasn't there. Like, he kept calling them.
And what were they say? What was up? What did he say?
So he finally got in touch with him. He like, yo, where's you at? And he like, we left. Y'all was taking too long.
Taking too long.
Yeah.
So and remember, like, this is where I always have an issue with things. I'm always like, okay, let me explain how this looks from my end. Let's say that you actually have the shit, and there was actually, if it would have went, the transaction would have happened. You would have had no vehicle, 3 pounds of weed on you. Okay?
Right.
And no vehicle, and I mean, they basically like left you stranded there. Like, how are you going to get home? Like,
right, and that was my thing. That was my problem with it. Like, why would you just leave us there with no ride? Like,
and see, that's what I was trying to tell you. I was like, do you not see that this was a set? Like, I think this was like set up from jump.
So if the setup was anything, the setup would have been them setting me and Rivas up to have Brandon Morgan and them rob us.
Yep, but there was.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution. Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Have them. The setup would have been for who to rob you?
Brandon Morgan and the 2 white boys in the bushes.
Okay, and they were gonna.
I mean, that's the only thing I could see if that was the case, because
And so part 2 of episode 1 picks up tonight at 10 p.m. This is where I start explaining to Dayvon as he continues out the story. You're going to hear the rest of the story that closes out November 15th and what happened, and then what they try to say happens. But this is where as he is explaining this, I'm painting a different story for him to be able to understand that, listen, your boys left you without a ride, okay? So even if you get robbed, what happens next? They don't have a ride. So who really was the setup? Because your boys should have been calling you saying, what's taking so long? Like, what do you want us to do? Like, where are you at? They just left. Okay? That's why I believe it was a setup from jump. And it would be with his own. It would be with Brandon Rivas' boys. He didn't kick it with them. Okay? But we're going to get into all of that. and you're going to be able to hear the remaining of the story. So come back, listen tonight at 10 p.m. prime time for it's the part 2 to the episode 1 pilot, which is the whole intro of the case. And then everything that I've been doing to feature different people on this podcast that are in a position to help this young man. I mean, he's lost 18 years of his life from the time that he was incarcerated. The next day, on November 16th, he was arrested. And you're going to hear on what. I know, Mod Squad, 10 p.m. I know, I get it. You're going to have to be part of the replay crew in the morning. But go enjoy the rest of your day. This was an exclusive behind bars Dayvon Cox's untold story, and the title of this podcast is His Voice, the Truth. So please rewind it back, listen. This is real and this is wrong, and we are in a position to help this young man, and I believe that we can, because I can prove a lot of things based on the discovery and things that weren't looked at. Also, people out there know the truth, and I am begging you to find it in your heart this holiday season to tell that truth. It's not too late to give a new statement. It's not too late to recant something that you said based on certain things. This man has daughters. Hear the rest of the story tonight at 10.